Hello, it is I, Hannah Rohama, the Kombucha Mama, and I am here to show you how to make kombucha for this summit. And then I'll also show you a little bit about our continuous brew vessels and packages. But I just want to assure you that making kombucha is super easy. And how do I know? Because I make kombucha, and I used to be sad. Standard American diet, didn't know how to cook beyond using a microwave or frying an egg on the stove. And I figured out how to make kombucha. So this is just how easy it is. I'm going to show you how easy it is. It takes about 15 minutes total. So I'm going to use an electric tea kettle. Of course, you could use whatever stove or even make sun tea if you like. We're doing what I call a shortcut method, which means that we're only going to brew the tea in a quarter of the liquid we need. And what that does is it allows us to bring the temperature down quickly so that we can put our SCOBY in as quickly as possible. So this is SCOBY. This is our symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. It makes this beautiful pellicle. And then we have 1 cup of our really strong starter liquid. So when you order a SCOBY from Kombucha Camp, when you order a Brew Now kit, when you order your continuous brew package, you will have beautiful, gorgeous SCOBYs. We are bacteria farmers. That's what we do. So I'm simply going to pour about 4 cups of water into my tea kettle. There we go. And now it's going to boil. So while that's happening, I'm just going to share with you some of the items that are included in our continuous brew package. So what I'm describing for you right now is what we call batch brew. What that means is we're going to brew a batch of kombucha in this glass jar. At the end of 7 to 10 days or 14 days, depending on your brewing conditions, we then remove all of the SCOBY, so there'll be a second one that reproduces. We drain all the liquid and we start over with a whole new batch, reserving some of the liquid at the top for our starter liquid for the next batch. Now with continuous brew, what we do, and here I'm just gonna move these supplies aside. So continuous brew is something we do in a larger vessel with a spigot. This is really convenient and it makes it so much easier. So these vessels all contain, can hold at least 2 gallons of liquid. So when you get a CB kit, a continuous brew kit, you'll have 2 full-size cultures with starter liquid, and you're gonna use both of them immediately according to the instructions and videos included. Now the benefit is we're going to fill this vessel up. It's going to be a double batch compared to the jar, which means it could take 14 up to a month to be ready. But once it has that sweet sour balance that you like, and the nice thing is you can easily pour it out of the spigot. So anytime you want to take a sip, you just place a little cup under here, open the spigot, have a little sip, and see, does it have that sweet sour balance that you're looking for? Now here's the secret to continuous brew. Instead of draining the entire vessel once it has that flavor we like, we're only going to drain 50%. In this size vessel, that means 1 gallon. So in a 1 gallon size jar, you're going to get just under a gallon of kombucha. Oops. Whereas with this, you'll be able to drain off an entire gallon. Now a gallon is equivalent to 8 16-ounce bottles. I'm going to move that over so it's a little less noisy. What that means, and now here's the beauty, you're going to put your bottle right underneath the spigot. So instead of needing to take this to the sink and holding the jar and hoping it doesn't spill and spilling all the liquid in your sink, you're simply going to put your bottle right under the spigot, fill it up, and close it. So it's super simple, super easy. Now, like I mentioned, we drained off 1 gallon of liquid from this vessel. We're going to make 1 gallon of sweet tea, just like I'm going to show you right now for our batch brew. You're going to simply pull open the top, super simple. These are our custom-made gripper caps. They have a special elastic that holds it nice and snug to the vessel. If you've ever tried to use a piece of cloth and a rubber band, boop, it often slides right off because these sides are super slippery. So we invented these caps with gripper elastics so they stay nice and snug. You're just going to open the top and then you're going to pour your sweet tea right on top. Now, why aren't we drinking the whole vessel? What is the benefit to only taking out half? I'm about to tell you. So we think of continuous brew as the easiest, safest, healthiest way to make kombucha. Easy. Everything's coming right out of the spigot or being poured on top. So there's less mess, less cleanup. Plus, because we're only draining out 1 gallon at a time, we only need to clean this vessel once every 3 to 6 months. So that's a lot less cleaning than having to clean out your jars with every single batch. And that makes it easy and convenient. Safe, because we've left 1 gallon already fermented kombucha in the vessel. When we go to add our sweet tea, it's automatically going to be in a pH protected environment. This is going to minimize the risk of mold. This is going to minimize any sort of issues happening to your culture. And so that pH protective environment is what makes it really safe. Healthy. We all know the health benefits of kombucha comes from the great organic acids that are created by the fermentation process. Those acids specifically are acetic, gluconic, glucuronic acids. Those acids support a healthy gut. They boost your immune system. They support healthy liver function. So yes, that's right. Even folks who have diabetes, they can drink kombucha and receive a benefit. However, we want to make sure we ferment it so it's a little bit more tangy. The nice thing, of course, you have full control and you can taste it anytime right out of the spigot. Well, what happens when we take that 1 gallon of already fermented kombucha in here, we add more sweet tea on top. Because fermentation is already happening within the vessel, when we add that sweet tea, we make more of those organic acids. However, instead of tasting like vinegar, which could be a little too sour, and now we're not getting any benefits because we're not drinking it at all, we're also tempering the flavor with that sweet tea. So we get this win-win-win scenario where we're getting longer fermentation time, that yields healthier acids, plus we still have a little bit of sugar remaining so that it's palatable and we can enjoy it. So those are the benefits of continuous brew. And if you're someone who wants everything laid out for you, nice and easy, we have 3 different kits to choose from. We also have 4 different vessel types. I'm only showing here today our modern porcelain as well as our handmade stoneware crock. We also have on them our heaters, which you can add at a discount when you upgrade your package. So the heater is great because our yeast and bacteria, our SCOBY here, is temperature sensitive. That means it likes a specific temperature range, specifically 75 to 85, with 80 as our sweet spot. Now, even here in Southern California, while it certainly does stay warm for a lot more of the year, because my kitchen's the coldest room in the house, because I have granite countertops, my kitchen still doesn't stay at that temperature year round. And we worked with an engineer here in the United States to develop this unique heating system. So the one that I love the most, of course, is going to be our Ferment Friend because it has a thermostat. So the thermostat works just like the one in your home, where we're going to enter our target temperature on the unit. There's a probe that goes on the outside of the vessel under the included Velcro strap. Here we go. And now, if there's a heat wave, if there's a cold snap, it doesn't matter. You don't have to come and adjust the heat. It's gonna automatically do it for you. So we call this our Ferment Friend. It helps to keep our brew at the perfect temperature year round. We also have a unit that has a dimmer switch. So with this, we're gonna simply increase and decrease the amount of power to the unit. And we're gonna monitor the temperature using our included thermometer strip. And so while this isn't going to automatically toggle, it does give you more control at the point of the unit to increase and decrease the power to yield the desired temperature. So this is our year-round heating system with dimmer. We also have an essential heat strip. We plug it in, it's at 100% at all times. And those are the 3 different heaters you can choose from. In addition to the caps, we also have a little t-shirt. That little t-shirt goes around the entirety of the vessel. It acts as a layer of insulation. Yes, you can have your heater plugged in 24/7 as long as the fabric is breathable, like the cotton that these are made from. It is going to continue to release that heat into the environment so that it doesn't overheat. However, it will keep more of it to the vessel. So especially if you have the Ferment Friend, it's going to reach the target temperature sooner. It's going to hold more of that heat. It'll use less energy. So it makes it a little more energy efficient. And of course, the cap and the body match. So you have a matching cap and t-shirt set. So you can add that for a discounted price to your package. All right, we heard our water boil. Let's go ahead and start brewing kombucha. I'm telling you, friends, this is so easy. What is kombucha? Tea and sugar and SCOBY. So this is our Hannah Special Tea Blend. Oh, it's an all organic blend of green tea, black tea, white tea, rooibos, yerba mate, all blended for flavor and health benefit. So Hannah Special Tea Blend comes with all of our products. It's our unique blend. I love teas. I combine them all together. I made this fantastic blend. Not only does it make the most delicious kombucha, it's also delicious by the cup. So this winter, when you're wanting something a little cozy, a little Hannah's Tea Blend with a touch of your favorite type of milk or nut water is going to be fantastic. In fact, I drink it all winter long. Our other tea blends that are included in our deluxe package or in our 3-tea sampler include our Green Goddess. This is our all green blend that is also great for Jun or June, which is the raw honey cousin of kombucha. Also included is Yin Yang, which is our white tea oolong blend. Really light flavor, gives a lighter flavored kombucha, also a little bit lower in caffeine, so that will be minimized in the final product. Of course, we're gonna give you the sugar you need, and then in the kit, you might also find a thermometer strip or 3 pH strips, some reusable tea bags, and if you prefer, a reusable tea ball, which I'm about to show you right now. And then some of our kombucha concentrate. So this is really great to take when you're traveling, when you don't have access to your kombucha, or if you want to supercharge your brew, you can always add a little bit of the concentrate. So I'm just going to fill up our tea ball here with some of our tea. And don't worry, some of the tea is going to fall into the jar. It's okay. It's not going to hurt the SCOBY. So 2 of these is about 6 teaspoons of tea, and we recommend 4 to 6 teaspoons per gallon. So how much you use is just dependent on your flavor preference. So I'm going to go ahead and dangle this in here. Not convenient with the tea ball. And now I'm just going to pour my 4 cups of hot water onto the tea so it can start steeping. There it goes. And this, we're going to let it steep anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. And again, that just depends on your flavor preference. So I'm going to dip this in here until the color starts to look really nice. So why do we use tea? Well, tea is Camellia sinensis. There is so much research on tea and her health benefits, and it's really high in antioxidants, anti-cancer properties. It has a whole host of wonderful benefits. Now sugar, and you might be thinking, sugar's bad for you. Why would I want to consume sugar? And if you're a follower of Dawn's, you're going to know that she does not think that sugar is so terrible, and neither do I. Now, of course, that said, the caveat is we have to consume it in balance. But what the sugar is for in this case, oops, here's the sugar. This 1 cup of sugar, which looks like a lot of sugar, it's the nutrition for the microbes, for the bacteria and yeast, because everything on this planet consumes sugar in some form or fashion. So it literally is a staple of life. Now, when we're talking about sugar, we're talking about cane sugar. While you could use beet sugar, just keep in mind that most beet sugar is GMO. And what we're trying to do here is minimize the toxic load on the body. So we do recommend using an organic, if you can find it, fair trade, raw cane sugar. That's going to be your best bet. So what happens is the yeast excrete an enzyme called invertase, and they're going to cleave this. So sugar, sucrose, is a disaccharide. That means it has two sugars. And so the enzyme excreted by the yeast is going to cause that to break in half. And so that will turn it into glucose and fructose. So consuming kombucha, even though it's made with sugar, it does have a lower glycemic impact because the sugar is pre-fermented. So even if you're looking at a bottle of kombucha at the store and you're like, oh, look at the sugar grams, we're not talking about table sugar. We're talking about sugar that's been fermented, that's in that easier to process state. Also, keep in mind that on a bottle of kombucha, if they're using sugar in the primary fermentation, it must be added to the added sugars section on the label. So you might be looking at a bottle of kombucha and think, oh my gosh, there's all this added sugar. Why are they adding sugar to the kombucha? They're not. They're putting it in primary fermentation, but the FDA simply doesn't understand fermentation, and so it is required to be put in the added sugars, which is confusing for consumers, but that's the way it goes. So when we're making it at home, of course, we have full control. We could even minimize the amount of sugar, though I never recommend going less than 3/4 of a cup. So this is looking pretty good. If I were at home, I might let this go a little longer, but I don't want to take up too much of your time here. So let's go ahead and move this tea ball I'm just gonna set it aside. You can compost this. Tea is very high in nitrogen and it's great for your plants. They're gonna love this tea. We're gonna take our sugar and we're putting it in the hot water, and that's because we want it to dissolve quickly. So again, we put our 1 cup of sugar into the jar. You can use a wooden spoon. Here I'm using a stainless steel spoon. Any kind of spoon is gonna work. And here's what we do. We stir in love. We stir in dreams. We stir in hopes, blessings. Because at the end of the day, the energy that we use to create things, especially when they're things we love for people we love, has a palpable impact, right? So we put that in there, and now this is too hot. This is so hot when I touch it, it's really hot to my fingers. The SCOBY's not gonna like that. We need something that's closer to room temp. So I'm gonna take my cool water, and I'm simply gonna pour it. Now, I'm not measuring here, but there are measurements on the recipe, but I don't want it to go above the shoulders because I want to leave enough room for the SCOBY and the liquid. So I'm probably going to fill it right around here just so it isn't too high and we have enough room for everything to be happy and float in there. There we go. We're bringing the temperature of this water down quickly. I just test it with my hand. That feels room temperature or body temperature. Perfect. Now we can add our SCOBY. So again, symbiotic culture bacteria and yeast. And let me say this, the pH on kombucha is so low that it really acts like an antibacterial. And so it has been shown to kill many pathogenic microbes on contact. So you don't need to be afraid of handling the SCOBY with your hands. You certainly could wear gloves, you could use tongs. It really comes down to personal preference. I love how smooth and soft they are. I get excited by my SCOBYs, and this one is really dense and resilient. Like I said, we're fantastic bacteria farmers here. We're gonna make sure you have brewing success by providing you with the healthiest cultures possible and with a really strong starter liquid. Woo! It's got that kombucha tang. So I'm just gonna gently float the mother in here. Now she might float, she might sink. It does not matter where she lives in the vessel. So even if she sinks to the bottom, don't worry, she hasn't died. It just means that she's waiting for some of the CO2 to be created by the bubbles to gently lift her back to the surface. Now the new layer is always gonna grow on top. So no matter where this mother is, the baby is the one that's on top. Now we're gonna add our strong starter. I do not recommend tasting the starter, though you certainly could. You will find it is very acidic. And we're pouring this on top because this sweet tea is delicious to a whole host of microorganisms, and we want to protect it. And so then lastly, what we're going to do is we're going to put a cloth cover and rubber band on the jar, and that's just so it can breathe. And so we also have caps that fit our jar sizes as well. So that one's a little too big because it came off of there, but we do have ones that fit. They come in a range of colors. They're super adorable. The reason that we use a cloth cover and rubber band is so that it can breathe. And the breathing is important because the oxygen is required as part of the fermentation process. And so we always want to make sure there's enough oxygen. But this is it, friends. We have successfully made kombucha. Now here comes the hard part. The hard part is waiting, is having the patience. So what we're gonna do typically is we're going to, here's the brewer cap size. The jar cap size, there we go. Looks cute. But we are gonna stick this into a, it doesn't have to be in total darkness. We just don't want it in direct sunlight. Direct sunlight is antimicrobial. That's what we love about it. So it makes your sheets smell so lovely in the summer when we hang them on the clothesline. However, with our kombucha, we just want to keep it out of direct sunlight. Now leave it alone because it's going to start growing a new SCOBY. It might look weird at first, especially if you're new to kombucha. It can just look strange. So that's why we say don't touch it, leave it alone. Give it about 7 days, after which time go ahead and then you can start tasting it. So from here it'd be a sip through a straw, or from here you would taste it through the spigot. And so that is how we make kombucha. It is so easy. Anyone can do it. I can do it. You can do it. Here, I've got even a little song to help you remember. Ready? Kombucha tea, easy as 1, 2, 3. Brew sweet tea, add a SCOBY, wait a week and then repeat. Woo! Thank you so much, friends. I hope you enjoyed this demo, and I'll look forward to answering your questions and hearing from you if you need further support. Thank you so much.